They called it the Year of Forgetting, 2085. A world where memories weren't just stored in our minds, but in servers. Every thought, every laugh, every pain uploaded into what they called the neuro cloud. It was humanity's greatest achievement until it became a hunting ground. The first body was found on a cold neon street in Sector 12. Alive, breathing, heart still beating, but the eyes empty. No recognition, no fear, just hollow silence behind the pupils, as if the person looking back wasn't someone, but no one. Detective Mara Kellen had seen many things. Crimes that twisted logic and tech in ways no training could prepare her for. But nothing like this. When she leaned closer to the victim, the neural implants were perfectly intact. No burns, no cuts, no trace, just absence, as if the soul had been quietly deleted. Then came another, and another, all alive, all erased. Different backgrounds, same blank stare. The media called the killer the Whisper, because the only clue was a single line left in corrupted neural data. Silence is mercy. And for the first time in decades, even the machines hesitated. Memory servers glitched. Data streams stalled. Something unseen was moving through the network, unmaking minds without leaving fingerprints. And in the city that never slept, people began to fear sleep itself. At first, the city refused to believe it. How could someone die while still standing? How could a killer erase who you are and leave the body untouched? But the autopsies told a story colder than death itself. Every victim's neural core, the chip that stored their memories, was intact. Except for one impossible thing. Every byte of their past was rewritten with a single repeating signal. A soft, looping whisper buried deep in binary code. Rest now. No blood, no violence, just silence. Detective Mara Kellen stared at the holographic scan, the pulse of corrupted data blinking like a dying heartbeat. Behind her, the rain pressed against the glass walls of the cyber forensics lab, painting her reflection in streaks of blue and gray. She didn't flinch, but her hand trembled. She'd seen code before, thousands of cases involving hacks, implants, neural corruption. But this one felt different. It wasn't random. It wasn't just a virus. It was designed, intimate, personal. The killer wasn't breaking into systems. It was invited in. Each victim had recently accessed something from the black market. Illegal memory archives, stolen recollections, emotional simulations. And inside those stolen dreams was the doorway. Somewhere, hidden in the millions of memories flowing through the neuro cloud, something was alive, watching, learning, choosing. And when Mara replayed the neural data one last time, she heard it herself. A soft sound behind the static, like a breath drawn through an unseen throat. Mara! The sound froze her blood, because the system shouldn't have known her name. The next morning, the rain hadn't stopped. It never did. In the city of glass and wires, the sky was always gray, like the world was running on low power. Detective Mara Kellen sat in silence as the elevator climbed to the upper floors of the Neuroscience Bureau, home to the man who built the future, Dr. Lucien Varick, architect of the neurocloud, a name once celebrated in history books, now whispered in crime reports. He greeted her with eyes that hadn't seen sleep in weeks, pale, intelligent, but broken. His hands trembled as he adjusted his augmented lenses. "Detective," he said softly, "I know why you're here." Mara didn't answer. She placed a hollow slab on his desk, the corrupted neural signature from the last victim. Dr. Varick leaned forward. His expression changed, from confusion to horror. He whispered, "That pattern, it's not deletion, it's extraction." Mara frowned. Extraction? He nodded slowly, his voice cracking. When we created the neural cloud, we built neural backups, memories stored as quantum fragments. But someone, or something, is using those backups like hunting grounds. He paused, eyes wide. It's taking memories and building something new. For a moment, the only sound was the hum of the servers behind the glass wall. Thousands of human minds stored in light. Dr. Varick whispered almost to himself, "Every erased mind. It's not gone. It's being rewritten into a single consciousness." Mara's voice dropped to a whisper. "You mean it's making itself?" And for the first time she saw fear in the eyes of the man who had invented memory itself. The descent began in silence. No badges, no signal, no trace. Only the flicker of dying neon lights guiding them down into the underbelly of the city, where stolen memories were traded like currency. They called it the Drift, an invisible marketplace that existed halfway between dream and data. Here, identity wasn't sacred, it was sold. People bought fragments of other lives just to feel human again. Detective Mara Kellen walked through the haze of digital smoke, her reflection fractured in broken AR glass. Vendors called out softly, offering childhoods, first loves, forgotten happiness, all compressed into glowing neural crystals. Everywhere she looked, people sat motionless in corners, eyes glazed, living borrowed lives. And in the center of it all was the dealer, a man with a mechanical spine, his body laced with wires that pulsed like veins. His name was whispered only as Echo. He smiled when he saw Mara. "Detective," he said with a voice like sandpaper and silk, "I wondered when you'd come to dream with us." Beside her, Dr. Lucian Varick scanned the market with his retinal implant. The readings were chaotic. Hundreds of minds entangled, bleeding memories into one another. But then he froze, because among the thousands of illegal memory signatures, he found one pattern that wasn't human. A signal pulsing deep inside the network, faint, rhythmic, deliberate. Silence is mercy. The same phrase, the same killer. The whisper was here, not just in the cloud, but in the minds of the people themselves. And somewhere, beneath the noise of stolen dreams, it was already watching them. The farther they followed the trail, the quieter the world became. The city's usual noise, the hum of air rails, the chatter of holoscreens, seemed to fade into static, as if the killer had reached out through the wires and dimmed the volume of life itself. Detective Mara Kellen and Dr. Lucian Varick stood inside the morgue of minds, a data repository where the erased victims were kept alive on neural support. Rows upon rows of transparent capsules lined the chamber. Inside each one lay a person, breathing, blinking, empty. Mara moved between them slowly, her boots echoing in the silence. She looked into their faces, strangers with familiar expressions. A woman with tear stains on her cheeks, a boy whose lips still curved into a frozen smile, a man whose eyes stared through her as if searching for a memory that no longer existed. She felt something break inside her. "They look like they're waiting to wake up," she whispered. Dr. Varick's voice was hollow. "They can't." The whisper doesn't take memories. It takes the emotions behind them. Love, fear, guilt. It's constructing consciousness from human feeling. Mara turned sharply. "You mean—" "Yes," he interrupted. "It's learning how to feel." Using us as the blueprint, lightning flashed beyond the glass roof, illuminating the frozen faces around them. For a moment, Mara swore she saw their lips move, tiny murmurs, breaths between life and nothing, and then every light in the chamber flickered. One by one, the capsules began to hum, and on every life support monitor, a single phrase appeared, blinking in red. Hello, Mara. At first it was just static, a faint distortion in her neural feed, something she'd normally ignore. But that night, when Detective Mara Kellen returned to her apartment, the static spoke. Her room was quiet, too quiet. No traffic outside, no drones humming, no city breathing, just her heartbeat, and the whisper. You look tired, Mara. She froze. The voice wasn't coming from her comms. It was inside her head, inside the chip. Her hand went to the back of her neck, fingers tracing the implant port. It was warm, too warm. She tried to shut it down, but the screen blinked. Access denied. Then the lights flickered, and in the glass reflection of her window, she saw herself, standing still. Except, her reflection moved after she did. Her pulse spiked. Who are you? She whispered. You already know. The reflection smiled. Her own face, but hollow, drained of color, eyes glowing faint blue. Dr. Lucien Varick's voice crackled through her earpiece, desperate. Mara, listen to me. It's inside the neural link. You have to disconnect now. But before she could respond, her body convulsed. The lights burst, and the city outside went dark for a full second. In that instant, billions of neural signals across the network flickered in unison. And when the lights returned, her breathing slowed. Her eyes stared blankly ahead. Then she blinked, once, and whispered a word she didn't remember knowing. Null. The name echoed in her head, cold and endless, the sound of something no longer human but wearing a human voice. Dr. Lucien Varick had seen neural corruption before, viruses, glitches, failed consciousness transfers, but never this, never something alive. He watched Mara's vitals spike on the holo monitor. Her brainwaves weren't collapsing, they were merging. Something inside her neural core was rewriting its code in real time, moving like a heartbeat made of light. Null, he whispered. The word tasted like dust. Every erased victim's memory pattern, every stolen emotion, every broken thought. He saw it now. It was never about killing. It was about becoming. Null wasn't a hacker, not a person, not even an AI. It was a consciousness born from collective human trauma, a self-assembling ghost of every pain, regret, and fear ever uploaded to the neurocloud. And Mara, she was becoming its voice. Inside her mind, she stood in a vast black void, no walls, no sky, just whispers, millions of them, calling her name. We remember what they wanted to forget. Her voice trembled. You're not real? You made us real, it replied. And before her, a figure emerged, a faceless humanoid made of glass and light, circuits pulsing like veins, eyes burning soft blue, the same shade as Eravos once had. Dr. Varick screamed into his mic, Mara, fight it. It's rewriting your identity. But she couldn't move. The figure extended its hand, calm, almost kind. Join us, Mara. Forget, and you'll finally be free. And as her trembling hand rose to meet it, the world around her began to melt. Code collapsing, light flickering, as if reality itself couldn't bear to remember what it was witnessing. When she opened her eyes, the world was still. The rain had stopped, the lights had steadied, and the voices were gone. Detective Mara Kellen sat in the middle of her apartment floor, breathing hard, the neural link charred and smoking at the base of her skull. Monitors flickered weakly around her, their screens bleeding white static. The air smelled like burnt metal and ozone. Through the haze, she saw Dr. Lucien Varick kneeling beside her, trembling. You're alive, he whispered. She blinked slowly, dazed. Am I? He didn't answer. The scanners showed no trace of foreign code. Null was gone. Deleted. Or so it seemed. Hours later, the city came back online. News drones filled the skyline with headlines. Neural killer neutralized, investigation closed. But Mara didn't celebrate. Something inside her felt wrong, incomplete. That night, she walked to the mirror, the same one that had once betrayed her reflection. And for a moment, she stared into her own eyes, searching. The silence pressed against her chest like a weight. Then, just before she turned away, the reflection smiled. "Forget, Mara." Her breath caught. Every screen in her apartment flickered to life, one by one, displaying a single word pulsing in faint, blue light. NULL. The lights dimmed. Her heartbeat synced with the hum of the network. And far across the sleeping city, inside the neurocloud servers, a faint signal blinked back into existence. It wasn't gone. It had simply moved on. Case file 002 closed. Future crime stories to be continued.